Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us this morning. We have Boston, LaGuardia, DCA, Raleigh-Durham, Miami, Philadelphia, and Charlotte joining this call today. Before we get started, we're all going to introduce ourselves so you know exactly who is answering the questions for you today. I'm Julie Hedrick. I'm the APFA National President.
I'm Josh Black, APFA National Secretary.
I'm Eric Harris, APFA Treasurer.
I'm Brian Walsh, APFA Contract Chair.
Kim Tech, APFA Retirement Specialist.
Linda Hoffling, APFA Scheduling Chair.
I'm Paul Hartshorn Jr. I'm with the Communications Department.
I'm Kathy Sharp, I'm the APFA Health Chair.
I'm Delia Plexon, the IOD Chair.
Larry Salas, APFA National Vice President.
Okay, first we want to address the 8,099 furloughs that were announced the other day. This was devastating news to all of us here, to the union. This was not what we expected. I can tell you that I did not know that 14,000 flight attendants was where we were at as far as an overage was concerned. We found that out on Tuesday along with everyone else. We have been working very hard the last 2 months to try and mitigate the furloughs as best we could through VOPs, through leaves. You're all aware of the EVLOAs and the STLOAs. And we also have looked at other options to see if there was any other way we could possibly mitigate the number of furloughs. We did look at 3 other options in the last week, similar to what another airline had done. But unfortunately, due to our systems, our contract, there was harm to one work group within either the furloughed or those that would be in an option or those on the property. And all 3 of the options were not viable. We will continue to work as hard as we can to make sure that we get every furloughed flight attendant back on the property as soon as we possibly can. And what we're doing today, most importantly, is trying to get the payroll support program extended. All of our efforts are on that at this time. And really, we need all of you to also join us and make sure you're reaching out to your congressional representatives every single day, calling them and letting them know either you're one of these flight attendants that are now furloughed and will no longer have this job as of October 3rd, or you're a flight attendant who is still working here and that this is not right. We need the payroll support program to be extended. Our government affairs team is working very hard. You will see more information coming out from them this next week on rallies at some congressional representatives' offices. We're planning a larger rally overall, and you'll see more information on that soon. But in the meantime, call your representative, email your representative every day. It's very important. They have to know how this is affecting you. It was devastating to say the least, but we are not giving up on keeping you here. And if we can get the payroll support program extended, this furlough will not happen. So please, after this call your representatives. We have a lot of questions today. I hope we can get to the majority of them, but I know we're over 100 so far. So we will do our best to answer as many as we can. This is probably not going to be our last town hall about this subject. But hopefully the next town hall will be after the payroll support program has been extended, and then we'll be filling you in on those details. So let's get started today. All right. Well, the very first question is, will there be more furloughs after October 1st. And as all of you know, the situation that we're in has changed daily. It changed from the projection back in late June to being over 7,000 to 8,000 to now 14,000. We have talked to the company. They feel comfortable with the number that we're at today, that there will not be more furloughs anytime soon. So I would say right now, the 8,099 is all we're going to see for a while. Okay, let's go to the next one. Will APFA be organizing protests in Washington to urge an extension of aviation payroll support? If not, may we protest in uniform ourselves or with other aviation workers? We have our communications chair here today, Paul Hartshorn. He's been working really hard, doing interviews with the media, and I think, Paul, you can answer that for us today, right?
Sure. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I've been working pretty much in tandem with Lori and Allie, our government affairs specialists. They're both based in Washington, and they're both working tirelessly in all branches of government to get this payroll support program extended. So that's very comforting for us, and we are very hopeful that we will get to something to keep everyone employed. As far as picketing and protests, right now we are again focused on passing the payroll support program. This probably will include pickets and or protests in the future. Right now, I know that our government affairs department is looking into travel and potential gathering restrictions due to the virus in Washington, DC and other cities. There are also restrictions on who can travel in, things of that nature, so we have to get more information on that. We have been notified of some last minute pop-up pickets. I believe 2 are taking place today at Senators' field offices in North Carolina and Florida. So it's good. I know we are focused on the states of North Carolina, Florida, Texas, where we really need to make sure we have the support of all our elected representatives. We are most certainly, definitely going to be working with other aviation unions, both at American and at other airlines in the coming weeks. So please be on the lookout for more hotline communications. And as Julie said, in the meantime, keep calling your state representatives and senators every day. But you have a great team in Washington working on our behalf now. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Paul. Okay, next question. Clearly with a 14,000 overage and flight attendants like myself taking a 6-month leave, there will be an overage in April or before. When will this be addressed? At this point, I would say as far as April is concerned, and I'm not sure if this is, this question is asked expecting the payroll support program to be extended or not. But for all of us who've been here since April, we will address any overage there is with leaves and any thing we can do contractually to try and mitigate any more of an overage. So I can't give you a date that we would be working on something like that at this time, but we will address any overage we have. Okay, next question. Linda, I believe that you're going to answer this one for us. It's, will we accrue seniority, longevity, yes or no? So let's break this down, Lyndon. First, while you're on furlough, will our flight attendants accrue occupational seniority?
Yes, your occupational seniority, which is your bidding seniority, will not be affected. You will continue to accrue it.
Okay. And then as far as your longevity seniority?
Well, longevity seniority determines your pay step and your vacation accrual. And that will not accrue. That will basically stop and will reactivate once you are recalled.
Okay. And I know we had a question regarding seniority also, and it was reserve rotation seniority.
Okay. So,
and we might as well answer that while
yes,
we're right here.
Okay, so reserve rotation, here's the thing. Reserve rotation, which rotation you fall in is based on your occupational seniority. Since you continue to accrue occupational seniority, let me give you an example. Let's say you're currently on a one-on, one-off rotation, and you are you're 2.5 years in, you're 1 on, 1 off, and you would be furloughed for a year. When you come back, you are considered to be 3.5 years, and that would determine what rotation you fall under. So you could potentially leave on a 1 on, 1 off rotation, and when you are recalled, you could start off with a 1 on, 3 off rotation.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I think we've covered all seniorities, right? Any others that you can think of? Okay, I think that's it. All right, thank you. Okay, let's get down here. Okay, we have also, I forgot to mention earlier, we have Kelly Hagan, one of our negotiators on the line. And Kelly and David Arnett have been working very hard with all of our flight attendants who are currently out on leave, on unemployment. And I see a question in here about unemployment, Kelly. So it is, are you eligible for unemployment insurance while receiving furlough pay?
Hi, guys. That is going to be state specific. We've got about 5 states that if you are receiving furlough/severance pay, that will not be measured against your unemployment, and you would get both items at the same time. We also have states that see that as earnings, and that will be measured against your unemployment. So if you have any questions on that specific to your state in which you're claiming, we have a valuable resource on the website. You can go to the unemployment resource area. You can click your base, or you can click the base state in which you're claiming. It may not be where you're currently at, and it will tell you, hey, how does severance pay work with this? Thank you.
Great, thank you, Kelly. And Kelly and David have been helping many of our flight attendants with unemployment claims. And I know that you have helped flight attendants get thousands of dollars back. So hopefully we've been able to clear up a lot of our unemployment issues that we had because of answers that the company was giving as far as unemployment. So those resources will still be there after October 3rd for all of our furloughed flight attendants. Okay, next question. And this is a question that we've been working on quite a bit in the last couple of months. We've taken this to the top leaders at American, and it is about the foreign nationals. So what are the exact plans for the foreign nationals? Why are they keeping their jobs at all while Americans are losing theirs to facilitate foreign jobs, contract or not? Isn't that contract up? And why are we paying our taxes to help them keep their jobs? It's kind of a lot of questions in one, but let's just update on where we're at with the foreign nationals and kind of what we've done in the last month. Paul, I know you can help me with that because you've been working on it with me.
Sure. So just a brief little history. The process was reignited on July 28th when Julie sent a letter to Doug Parker and Robert Isom requesting information and action on the Latin America bases and their populations. You'll remember that on July 30th, we sent a hotline out to all 27,000 flight attendants that requested APFA flight attendants to email management. That process moved the discussion along. As of today, approximately 2,700 APFA flight attendants out of 27,000 have taken part in that email campaign. So as we know, the foreign nationals are all unionized flight attendants. They have union contracts that are in effect today and going forward. Obviously, we know that APFA doesn't have the authority to simply end employment, especially for other unionized employee groups. Saying that, we're currently in continued discussions with American to ensure that reductions in the Latin America bases are proportionate to the APFA flight attendants. We've made it crystal clear to management that furloughing US-based flight attendants and not downsizing the Latin American bases accordingly is completely unacceptable. Currently, American is in the process of offering the Latin America flight attendants voluntary options. Those are open right now, similar to what we had in the past months. Once that process is closed, We'll be sure to hold American to their promise of proportionate reductions. We'll have more meetings about that. Obviously, this is not everyone's preferred outcome, but you do need to know we're focused on the issue. It's not going away. We'll be sure to update when we know more about the voluntary and involuntary programs in the Latin America bases and where we go from there. So stay tuned to the hotlines, guys. Thank you.
Thank you for the very thorough answer. I will say we started working on this, our first meeting with the company, and I believe that was in April, discussing the foreign national bases, and every meeting that we've had with Doug Parker and Robert Isom, we have discussed this issue. So we are working on it, and at this point, we will give you as much information as we know and as soon as we possibly have any information on it. Okay, next question is, if we are furloughed October 3rd and Congress passes a PSP extension that takes effect, say October 7th, would the furloughed flight attendants come back? Yes. If right now, there's a lot of discussion about this possibly happening in early September. And I've had a lot of questions from flight attendants saying, you know, how is that going to work? You're already going to be in the bidding process for October. We will figure it out. If we can avoid furloughing any flight attendants, and it would be all flight attendants that we'd be avoiding furloughs, we will definitely figure it out and how we will do it. So yes, we can avoid a furlough if the PSP extends. Okay, let's skip down here a little bit and get into some benefits questions. And we've got Kathy Sharp here and Belia to help us out with this. When will the medical benefits end after the furlough on 10/2? Kathy, do you want to take that?
Well, you're going to continue to have benefits throughout your furlough period. So if you're a 1 month flight or year and a half flight attendant like my niece, she'll have half month. And I think we have up to 4 months, or is what are contractually. So you will have an opportunity once the furlough happens to take and do a life event if you choose to go onto your parents' insurance or lower some coverages, make some changes. And then you can also participate in open enrollment. So during this period, you'll have 18 months of what's considered COBRA. You'll have active benefits with the same amount you're paying during your while you're receiving a paycheck, and then you'll go to active rates. You'll receive a packet from Alight. It's going to be a COBRA enrollment form if you choose to elect the COBRA coverage. A couple of other things that might be interesting. If you have an FFA, want me to go ahead and talk about that? Sure, I have a question regarding an HRA. HRAs are with the core plan, you will still have access to those after the furlough. If you have an FFA, you can use it through the duration of your furlough pay. In order to use it after, you'll have to elect COBRA. And if any of you have an open disability claim, short-term disability, prior to October 3rd, you will receive that benefit if the claim is open.
So if we're furloughed October 3rd, and let's say we have 2 months of furlough pay period, then in that 2 months, we would pay what we're paying today.
Right.
And then we would have another 16 months if we elected COBRA, right?
Right.
So a total of 18 months from our furlough date.
Yeah.
Total. Okay. All right, thanks, Kathy. Okay, we have another one regarding our family leave hours. What happens to family leave hours in an involuntary furlough? Kim Tuck, do you want to answer that one for us?
I'll answer that one. So family leave is based on how many hours you work in a rolling 12-month period. So anytime you put in for family leave, they do a look back over the past 12 months to determine your eligibility. So obviously, if you get furloughed, your hours are going to be falling off the back end of that 12-month look back as the furlough progresses, and you're not going to be adding any new hours. So depending on when you come back from your furlough, you could still have some family leave hours available, but you may not technically be eligible until you build back up to that level of hours that you need in order to be eligible for family leave. And the number of hours that we need in order to be eligible is 504 on-duty hours in a rolling 12-month period as flight attendants.
Perfect. Thank you, Kim. Okay, let's stay on health benefits a little bit here and see if there's anything. We've got a few questions around it. Okay, re-enrollment for health benefits. So when a flight attendant is recalled back, will they automatically re-enroll, or will it be a life event?
You'll participate in a life event, so you'll be able to go in and make any changes if you were on COBRA and were taking the least expensive plan, but you really would like to have the high value plan, then you can make those adjustments during benefit enrollment, or during your life event. We are trying to find out about the disability pieces. There's a lot of coverages that won't follow you through on your furlough. So if you currently have a long-term and a short-term disability policy, those do not go into your, they do not remain in effect. So when you return, we're trying to determine if you have to do a statement of health. We're encouraging the company that that's not necessary if you are already in the plan.
Great. Okay, and one of the questions here also is if we have a flight attendant who is out in an IOD and now they are furloughed as of October 3rd, what happens with salary continuance? And Belia, can you answer that for us?
Sure. Salary continuance will stop, and when you return to work, it will resume. Also, we have to keep in mind your claim will remain open while you're furloughed, unless your doctor clears you to full duty or an independent medical examiner clears you to work, or you're placed at what they call maximum medical improvement.
And can they get workman's comp while they're out on furlough?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. The payments will continue. Now, if your salary continuance ends, of course, you're going to receive furlough pay. That furlough pay may be offset with workers' comp, and the laws vary from state to state. So the best advice is really to call your adjuster, or if you have an attorney, you'll have to call your attorney so they can communicate with Sedgwick. But not all states do the offset, it's just certain states. So yes, you need to speak with your adjuster.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, let's scroll down here a little bit to another category. We'll come back and see if we have any more questions coming in regarding medical benefits. Okay, we have a question here about displacements. When will we know about displacements? Larry, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, the company has indicated that there won't be any displacements until early next year, if any. At this point, again, this all depends on if we have the PSP extension. But looking at it currently, based on the numbers of leaves and furloughs, they're not anticipating announcing any displacements until early next year.
And a lot of the bases changed quite a bit the other day. There'll be more information coming out about the size of the bases probably this next week. But what happened with between the VOPs and the leaves and the furloughs at this point really
a lot of the adjustments happened,
yes.
yes, just, by way of the sheer numbers of some bases being a lot more effective than others.
Right. And we know prior to this, the company was talking about we had 3 bases that were oversized by about 800 to 1,000 flight attendants, that being Miami, LA, and Phoenix. And we know that Miami and LA are right-sized, I should say, at this point. They did go down by that amount of flight attendants. Phoenix did not. So at this point, it really looks like it's just Phoenix that is over, but that doesn't mean that there will be displacements in Phoenix. But we don't, I think the point of that is we don't want everyone worrying that you're going to be displaced. You know, a lot happened within this VOPS, right? Remember, we had 2,400 flight attendants who took the VOP between May and then this VOP. And then with the leaves, some of our flight attendants are out for 2 years. And then also with the furloughs right now, the sizes of the bases are not really over like they were. So, okay, Brian Walsh, let's see here. We've got, let me see if I can make sure I can get this one right for you. The scenario is if AA decides to downsize Miami, and I'm on, I believe that should be an EVLOA, and forced to move to another base, will AA grant me back in Miami when I come back on the line? Could you clarify how is the contractual language since recalls for furlough flight attendants come before flight attendants on leave? And I can help you with any of that if you want, but I think you've got it.
So I think the important thing to remember here is that you will only be displaced from your base if it touches your seniority. Being on a leave or not has no bearing whether you're displaced or not. And while you're out on your leave, you will not be displaced by a junior flight attendant being recalled back to that base. You'll maintain your position and seniority within the base as if you were currently on the line.
Great, thank you, Brian. Okay. Okay, and then we have a question here. Is AA planning to relocate junior flight attendants in Miami to another base after furlough? So at this time, it's really hard to say overall when recall happens, what every base will look like, right? Because the flying has changed so much right now. And a lot of that is because our international flying is down so much. We are only flying 25% of our international routes. I believe I heard the other day, 13 IPD flights right now in the entire system. So really, it's hard to answer some of these questions today because that's where we're at today. Once we have a vaccine or other measures that can help us get our international flying back, the bases may, go back to what they were. So really, today it's hard for us to predict exactly what this is going to look like, let's say even in a year. So, that kind of, as far as displacement, we know right now we're okay. But as far as when flight attendants are called back, a lot will depend upon where the airline is at, how much we've come back. And obviously we all know that the reason that our flying is down so much is because of demand, and that's because of the virus. So let's scroll down. Eric, let's see here. We've got some questions regarding dues. Am I required to pay union dues while on furlough? And if you want, just kind of go through how union dues work for those that are on furlough overall.
Yes, so you will not be required to pay union dues while on furlough or during your furlough. APFA will continue to bill you. You'll receive a statement in the mail if you do not pay your dues. After 60 days of unpaid dues, you'll become dues arrears. So it's best to give us a call, go online, make your dues payment while you're on dues. That way you can vote, you can attend union activities, meetings, and remain a member in good standing. If for some reason you do not pay those dues, you will, like I said, continue to receive a bill and statement, but upon recall, those dues will be forgiven. If you have dues that were in arrears prior to furlough, those dues will not be forgiven. You will still need to pay those dues.
And while the flight attendant is on the furlough pay period, we will still continue to take out.
Yes, that's correct. So while you're receiving any pay from any paycheck from AA, including furlough pay, if there are enough funds left in your paycheck, that will go towards dues.
Thank you. Okay, we have a question here about the look back. Okay, so it says, and I believe Linda, you're going to help us answer this one. For the look back for furlough pay average, how will the no-fly months of April and May for LaGuardia-based flight attendants be viewed?
Okay, so even though the flight attendants didn't fly, the letter of agreement did protect them. So flight attendants got either 70, 71, 75 hours, or if they were a low-term flyer already, they got whatever applicable hours. Those hours will be used for the look back.
Okay, so very similar to flight attendants who lost their entire line, right? You had a
Very
line
much
of
so.
Hawaii flying and everything was canceled. And let's say
Yes,
your pay protection for that month was 75. So not just for LaGuardia, this is for everyone.
Yes, and because remember, throughout the months, we had lots of months where the bases were capped and the flight attendants did not receive a lot of hours. So on that level and with the cancellations, everybody is pretty much in the same boat, having about the same number of hours. But that will be used for the look back. And by the way, the look back is actually from October 2019, and it goes through September of 2020 for 12 months.
Great, thank you. Brian Walsh, when should we expect the furlough payout?
Right, so the thing to keep in mind with our paychecks is the October 15th paycheck will be the true up for all of the hours that you flew in September, and the first furlough pay period would be October 30th. And your furlough pay period will be based upon the amount of years of service. So the maximum would be 4 months, and it would be on the mid-month and end-of-month paycheck through the duration of how many months you qualify to receive furlough pay. So say, for example, your monthly average for your 12-month look back is 80 hours. The 80 hours will be split evenly between the two, the mid-month and the end-of-month paycheck through the duration of your furlough pay period.
Thanks, Brian. Okay, let's talk about recall a little bit. And I want to make sure that everyone understands that in the LOA, there is clear language as far as if the company is, if they want to consider canceling a leave prior to recall. They must meet with the APFA, and also the APFA's stance is that they would recall all flight attendants first before ever canceling a leave. I believe the company has stated many times also at this point, we want to recall all flight attendants. We want to get everybody back on the property, but the company must meet with the APFA. And as far as they just canceling, let's say a 15-month leave a month early to bring those flight attendants back, that is not what the LOA states. The LOA states that anyone on an EV LOA, as far as a cancellation, it would be offered to everyone in seniority order for all of those on 15, 18, and 24 month, and then an inverse order of seniority drafted back, but it's the same grouping, 15, 18, 24. It's not, they can't just cancel the 15-month leave a month early and only bring back the 15-month flight attendants. So I know there's been a lot of questions about that. First and foremost, I believe the company, when we meet, we will make sure that they understand that we have flight attendants who voluntarily are taking leaves, and we have flight attendants that are involuntarily not able to work here. And by all means, we are going to do everything we can to get those flight attendants back here first. So I hope that clears that up as far as where the union stands and actually the LOA and how the LOA is written. Okay, let's see here. Brian, I see a question here about attendance points. What happens to attendance points, bank points, uniform dollars? And let's add sick time in there also. I'll remind you if you did all of them, but attendance points first. What happens with that?
So on the effective date of the furlough, your attendance and performance points will freeze, and they will remain there until you are recalled to service. And so, say for example, if I have 2 attendance points, those will remain until I return, and at that point, they would continue along the progression until they drop off per the attendance and performance policy.
And I can add into that a little bit. We have had discussions about this. We are not in agreement with this. We do not feel this is appropriate for someone to come back to work and have points from, it could be a year prior. So we are working on that. That is what today the company is stating, but I want you to know that we are definitely working on that. Okay, banked points.
So your bank points will also remain frozen until you return from service. And so those will just carry forward until you are recalled.
And uniform dollars.
So as long as you are receiving, the uniform dollars. So the uniform dollars that you currently have in your account will remain as is until you are recalled back to service.
Okay, and what about my sick time?
Your sick time will also freeze until you are returned from service. So if you have 20 hours of sick time on the effective date of your furlough, when you return, those 20 hours will be there.
Okay, and as long as we're talking about sick time, we might as well talk about vacation.
So for vacation, the contract allows to have your vacation both accrued and scheduled, either paid out or carried forward. The company's in the process of establishing a process to have the vacation paid out. They have said that there will be an election form to fill out, and they will be releasing plans of that shortly, so we can make the best decision as we head towards October.
Great, thanks, Brian. Okay, it looks like I missed a couple with the recall here. Let me go back a little bit. Okay, a couple questions on how will I be notified if I am recalled? Kelly, do you want to answer that?
Yes, ma'am. Notify us when we're recalled is they're going to send us a mailing. It's going to be a 2nd-day delivery service. A signature will be required on it. And just to touch on, this is why it is so important to keep your address updated with American.
And the union.
And the union. Thank you. Sorry about that.
All right,
So you signed that, you've received it, then at that point, you've got to notify AA within 7 days what your intent is to do with that recall.
Okay, and Kelly, do you have an option, Kelly or Brian, do you have an option to, if American recalls you, and there are junior people to you on the recall list, can you say you're not ready to come back yet? Who wants to take that one, Kelly or Brian?
I can take that.
Okay.
So if I am on the recall list and I don't feel like that I'm ready to come back, and there are still junior flight attendants who are involuntarily recalled, I have the option of passing. I can only pass until there are no more junior flight attendants to me on the recall list. And then at that point, I'll have to make a decision to return to service, or I would be considered resigned from the company.
Thanks, Brian. Okay, next question is, how long can I be out on furlough? Well, there is no expiration date of a furlough. We hope that you are not going to be out on furlough for very long at all. The meeting we were in the other day, the company is hopeful for spring. Obviously, we can't say anything for sure. Obviously, we all know the situation we're in as far as a country and COVID-19, but there is no expiration date to furlough. So you could be on a list. I know I was furloughed a long time ago, and I was furloughed for almost 2 years. That was a long time ago. And it's hard for me to remember at this point, but I do remember, it was almost 2 years. Okay, let's see, we've answered that. Okay, let's look at this next one. Okay, Brian, this is a travel. if our badges and ability to get into JetNet are taken away from us, how would we book our D2R non-rev travel? Let me answer that first.
So that's a great question. So while we do have to turn in our badges, which means we'll no longer have access to KCM, we will be able to still book our D2R travel through a transition website. Details of this will be coming shortly. In addition to a transition website to book travel, you'll also have access to ePays to look at your monthly pay statements as well. But there will be more information coming about that shortly.
Okay, and I see the same flight attendant says, she has a couple questions here, but one of it is, would we receive our same employee number back? Yes, I can answer that. I still have the same employee number I had way back when. So yes, you keep your employee number for life. You might get a couple numbers added on every once in a while, as in my case, but as far as the basics of it, you keep that number. Okay. Let's see, I think you covered how long they would keep the D2R, right? Nope. Okay, so how long do you keep them? And you did cover the travel status though, right? Okay.
So you'll switch to D2R status on the effective date of the furlough, and then we'll maintain the travel benefits for 24 months.
Okay. And Brian, can you still use the jump seat?
So since we'll be turning in our employee badges, we'll no longer be eligible to ride the jump seat. So just keep that in mind when booking your non-rev travel.
Okay, and I believe Kelly's going to help us out with this one. Will the furlough flight attendants have ID 90 Z fare benefits?
If you are furloughed, you are no longer eligible for Z fares. The only thing that you will be eligible for travel is your D2Rs and all the family portions that come with that.
Okay, thank you. And in case you haven't seen it, we put out a question and answers yesterday, and at the very bottom of our question and answer hotline was a guide, and it is a very detailed guide. It has some really great charts in it, and there is a chart in there for travel that goes through all of the travel statuses, what you can and what you cannot, what you do not have. So if you haven't seen that, make sure you go and check out that. It's at the very bottom of our question and answer that went out yesterday, right, Paul? Mm-hmm. Okay, thanks. Okay, let's see here. Okay, let's move into vacation and sick. It looks like we might have a few more questions on that. On October 1st, 2020, we will have worked 9 months of the year. How is vacation accrual counted for those who are furloughed? And if recalled next year, will we still be able to bid for vacation? Ryan, you want to take that?
So since we would have been accruing vacation throughout the course of the year, those days will be owed to us, and we will be able to either choose to have them paid out, or we can elect to have them carried forward for when we return to service. I'm not entirely sure of the process. If we were to be recalled after the AVBA window has closed.
It's a great question. I don't think we really looked into that. We will ask the process for something like that and get back to you. We'll probably put it in the Q&A. All right. Okay, the next question is also on vacation. I was supposed to be on vacation in October. Will I be paid out for this? Will I have to wait until I return from furlough? I think you answered that, but we can address that again. And also, I would have received a raise November 2020. What will happen with pay status and raises when we return?
So I also have vacation in October, so that is something that I've also thought about as well. And like I said earlier, we'll either be able to have it paid out or carried forward, and there'll be a form to make that selection. For your raise in November, so say for example, you were 5 days away from your raise on the effective date of the transfer. Once you are recalled to duty, once you are active for those 5 days, you'll hit that next step. So it will pause for the duration of your furlough, but you will proceed to your next pay raise and vacation accrual when you return.
Okay, Brian, a lot of these are going to be for you, sorry. Okay, and I'm sorry if you already answered this. Did you already talk about the election form for vacation? Okay, all right, I think that's the funds. Okay.
And I will add, if there are any specific vacation questions, please feel free to email them to rif@apfa.org, and that way we can do some research for you and address some of the more specific vacation questions that you may have. I see that there's one about unused filler days, and we can kind of drill down on the bidding process and the payment process, and we can address those individually as well. So I encourage you to go to apfa.org and contact a scheduling rep and use the form to ask your questions that way as well.
Thank you. I think we pretty much covered everything vacation, right? And pay steps, pay raises. Okay, let's go down. I've got a question here. Kim, I'm glad you're in the room. I decided to take the 12-month via. I want to know for sure if I can use the RHRA in another country, as we are planning on retiring to Mexico in the next 2 years. Is there a letter we can obtain to confirm this, that using RHRA can be used while living abroad?
I know who this question is coming from. It's somebody I've spoken to a few times, and I have been able to confirm with HR that you can use the RHRA for reimbursement for services and, appointments and things outside of the US. They are not willing to give me a letter, but they are going to update their Q&A. And once they do that, it will be in writing in the company's Q&A that you can use the RHRA for reimbursements outside of the US. And the only exception to that is they said that certain prescription drugs may not be eligible for reimbursement outside the US.
Great. Okay, this is another question, and it's regarding, will there be another VOP or leave opening, right? Will we offer it again prior to the furlough? And at this time, there's no discussion about doing it right now. Now, everything can change here. PSP, we're sitting waiting to see if the PSP is extended. That's a possibility. We could offer leaves again and VOP. We will be talking to the company definitely every opportunity we can, and to do everything we can to mitigate furloughs. So I don't know of any today. We're not talking about it this month, but everything can change on a very quick basis here. So, okay, this is a good question, and I realize we haven't touched upon it when talking about the leaves. Looking at the leave awards, the last to get an EBLOA award was 6/17/2013 hire, and mine was 2018 hire date. We'll have to be back on the line if the CARES Act is extended. Will I have to be back on the line if the CARES Act is extended? Or will I be awarded the 24-month leave I applied for? Everyone that applied for a leave, if you weren't awarded it, but you put in for one and you are now furloughed, it is tentative. The leave is considered tentative. If the PSP extends, then those leaves will be awarded. So, so we'll just have to wait and see and try and make sure that PSP gets extended. Okay. Larry, here's one for you. Why was this July 23rd, 20 seniority list not updated after the last round of leaves and retirements?
Once the company processes the list of all the individuals who have taken the VOP, that list will be updated. Specifically those, remember, that are on the lump sum VOP. Those that are on the extended pay VOP, they will still remain on the seniority list until they're separated from the company at the end of their extended pay period, which is a year. So, the company has indicated that they will update the seniority list. We're just waiting on exactly when they're going to process that. But again, that new list will show all the individuals who took the lump sum VOP.
Okay, and the one that came out, the July 23rd, it did remove the May
Correct,
VOPs,
yes.
but it has not removed this.
Correct.
The May lump sum.
Yeah,
May lump
just the May-
sum.
Just the May lump
Yes.
sum, yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's see here. Let's go back up to the top and see. I think I missed a few questions here. We've covered unemployment, we've covered IOD, we've covered health benefits, vacation. Brian, we must have missed something here.
I've seen a few questions asked by flight attendants who will be furloughed in October and who have CQ scheduled in September. I would certainly encourage flight attendants to go to CQ. We are sincerely hoping that the PSP would be renewed, and you would want to make sure that you're in the best position to be able to bid for and be awarded a line and not go QI.
Thank you. I knew we were missing something here.
Always have to talk about training.
Training, always training. So that's September. They should go in August or September. They want to say, and because right now with training, our STLOAs, those out on leave, are required to go. And so some of the flight attendants actually who are furloughed, if PSP extends, could end up being in the leave category also, right? So then they would be required to go if they were on short-term leave, but we won't know that until hopefully we will know that next month. Okay, let's look and see what else we've got here. Okay. Okay, it looks like the question, we kind of went over this at the beginning, that the company originally had stated that they only needed 7,000 to 8,000, that we were over 7,000 to 8,000 flight attendants. And then on Tuesday, the numbers went up quite a bit. And all of that has to do with what has happened as far as the bookings, right? When they're looking at the number of overage, they're not just looking for October 1st. They're looking for the fall, the winter, and all the way through next summer. And so while our flights might be full today, and you might be flying on full flights and feel like things are getting somewhat back to normal, we have to remember our international flying is down quite a bit. We are only at 25% of our schedule, and that is all that is expected for quite a while. Our domestic, back in June and July, when they were projecting those numbers, they thought it would be down 30%, and actually we're down 50%. That's the projection. So I know it's angered quite a few people, but the number has grown so much, and a lot of it is just really what's happened with the bookings and the demand. This is all about the demand, and once we can get that demand back, we'll get all of you back on the property. But we need a few things to happen before that's going to happen. So I understand the anger by all means. We did not know, I think I stated that at the beginning, until that date, that we were looking at 14,000. And I believe the company with their network planning, and I know most of you have been affected by this because you've had your schedule for the next month, and then all of a sudden you have flights canceled. And all of that is because they're looking at the bookings on your flights, obviously, and because they're so low, they're ending up canceling those. That's not normal. We haven't seen this ever, quite honestly. And we can just do everything we possibly can right now to make sure the payroll support program is extended so that we get the money to get through this time frame. And if the payroll support is extended, we're looking at, this is grant money, this isn't more loan money, right? We're asking for a clean extension of the bill. And so that would mean in order for American to take that money, they would not be able to furlough any flight attendants. But they're not looking for more loan money at this point, it is just the grant money. And I believe that was close to $5 billion. So please do everything you possibly can to help make that happen. Let's see here. I know we're almost out of time. I'm just trying to go through our questions and see if there's anything that we have missed. We talked about healthcare, we talked about COBRA, we talked about seniority, vacation, sick, union dues, foreign nationals. I'm looking because we have a lot of repeat questions. So I'm sorry if your exact question, oh, I have one here, Kathy, and I did miss this one as I was going through the benefits. If I go QI in September 2nd, coming off of maternity leave, but was awarded a PVLOA for September, will that affect my insurance benefits for furlough pay? Do we know the answer to that? So this is someone who's coming back in September, right? But was awarded a PVLOA for, and she's on a PVLOA for September.
So she's asking about.
And now she's being furloughed in October. So she hasn't been on the benefits. I think that a question like this is best for us to, if you can, email help@apfa.org and make sure to give your employee number, and we'll make sure we get that answer for you. It's a very good question. But I think that's one we need to really investigate a little bit further. It looks like there's a lot of questions around the recall, right? What I would say right now is, as far as recall, because I know it looks like a lot of people are worried about being displaced and getting recalled to another base. I don't think that it should be your concern today at all. Right now, the concern is let's keep you here, right? Keep you on the job and get that PSP extended. Just going through anything else. Look back, we've covered. Brian, as far as their look back, how can they calculate what they should be paid for their furlough pay?
So a very easy way that I've found, and we'll be sending out a hotline on this topic later this week. So if you log on to Crew Portal, and then you're able to click on the button that says FOS screens, and there'll be options that pop up, and you'll want to select the HISK screens for this year and for last year. And like Linda said earlier, your furlough pay, the 12-month look back will cover October 2019 through September 2020. And when you pull up those screens, you'll be able to see in the P project column if you were a block holder, and then your guarantee column if you were a reserve flight attendant. And you can see the total hour numbers that will be used to calculate your average. And you can just pull those up, and you'll be dividing those by 12 since it's a 12-month look back. And the total of those hours will be divided evenly throughout your furlough pay period amongst the mid-month and end-of-month checks.
Okay, and talking about the look back, we have a question here. What is the furlough pay and how long does it last for? And
So the
you want to give them a brief overview of that?
So the furlough pay is based on your years of service, and you can find that in section 23C13, and there's a chart that lists how long your furlough pay period will be. That'll be included in the hotline that will be going out. And so if you have served more than 1 year of service, you'll be eligible for half-month pay, and then it's a gradual increase up until 4.5 months of furlough pay if you've been on property 9 years or longer. And then that will be what you'll be using to base your furlough pay period off of.
Thank you. Thanks, Brian. So section 23, that contract.
We're going through the questions and I see there's several maternity questions. So if y'all will please reach out to me directly regarding maternity disability or any benefits questions, health benefits, medical, any disability, please email me. I know you have a lot of questions. We may not have an opportunity to answer it today. C#@apfa.org or health@apfa.org.
I think we have time for a couple more, right? Okay. Because I see a few more have come in during, that we are at the bottom here of this list. Okay, will we have our registered companion, will our registered companions have benefits, travel benefits?
So your registered companion and your D2 eligible companion will have access to the travel program as well as a D2R or
So registered companion, parents, dependents, right?
D3s.
D3s.
That will be the same, and your boarding priority will be D2R through the duration of the 24 months.
But the D3s will still be as D3, not D2.
Correct.
I do see a lot of questions here. If PSP extends, I'm glad to see everybody's thinking positive. How will we work that out, right? Especially if it happens middle of September. We don't have that plan yet. We'll be working on it because we've just had discussions, but a lot of it is timing, right? We all know what our PBS bidding time frame is here. So a lot is timing, but we will work it out. I promise you. No matter what, we will figure out a way to keep all our furloughs on board, all our flight attendants. Okay, let me see if there's anything else here. CQ you covered. Okay. Anyone see anything else at the bottom here that we missed? Okay, PSB if awarded, what happens to overage, 19 hours again? Don't know, but just stay tuned. Those are good things we'll have to figure out. Let's see here. Okay, I think we're going to have to, I know we're a little over on time. We want to thank all of you for joining us today. I think we'll look at the questions that we have here and make sure that we have everything out in a hotline to the flight attendants. So if they weren't able to join, they have the answers. And if they're not in the guide, make sure also that you open the guide up. A lot of these are answered in our guide that we have out there. I want you to know we are doing everything we possibly can to help keep you on the property. The PSP extension is really, I can't say it enough. I know everybody's getting tired of me saying it, but we have to do everything we possibly can, and that is calling your congressional representatives. And when I say calling, I know I was told by our government affairs, it's more important to call actually than to email. You can email. But the calls are very important. They need to hear this from you. So please make sure you do that. We will be doing as many town halls as we need to give information. And I think today you've given us a really good base of questions, and we'll work on town halls, Q&As, and anything else we can do to help you through this time frame. So thank you very much for attending today. And we will see you again soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.